All right, we're going into the archives to talk about a very positive prison story. I know that's going to blow your mind. Boom. We're not supposed to talk about positive, uplifting, and encouraging stories that happen in prison and jail. But I'm here to tell you on a pin and a shank, the most unusual and unique crime and prison channel experience on YouTube. We'll do whatever we want. And today, we're going to go into the archives and we're going to travel back in time to Texas to a man named Gary Grimm, who was overseeing inmates who were being detained in the county jail to await their trial or court hearings. His job was to watch over them as inmates and officers came in and out and lock the inmates in the thing. The other officers from the other counties would come in, get them, and bring them to court, or the judge would call them to the specific courtroom, and they would come get them, and he would watch them while they sat in there. Well, he was sitting on his chair, kind of like I am right now. And you know what? I'm just going to play the video and let you watch it. Then we're going to talk about it. So as you can see, the inmates, sprang into action and helped save Officer Gary Grimm's life. I think it's really ironic that Officer Gary Grimm's last name is Grimm, almost like the Grim Reaper who guards over, you know what I mean? Those who are hovering over life and death, basically people in prison, right? They're just kind of in the never land. That's what prison is. It's just a land inside a world where time stands still and you don't know what's going on. That's what jail and incarceration is. And Mr. Grimm, Officer Grimm, sat there watching over these inmates, and little did he know, after he was a correctional officer for 20 plus years, that day would be the day that inmates actually saved his life. As you've seen in the video, it was still images because it was surveillance video that's in the early, goes back into like 2016. And I want to read an article that I found. My wife's the one who sent this story to me. And one thing that I want to do on the pin and the shank is I don't just want to cover, all the negative things that go on in prison. And even though this is an older story that we found from the archives and, my wife sent to me, I want to take a moment just to say that we want to recognize that, yes, in prison, positive things happen and good things happen where inmates save officers' life. This isn't unheard of, but it's not going to be blasted on all the regular crime and prison channel genre. You know what I mean? They're just not going to talk about it because it's not awesome. You know what I mean? It's not what people want to hear. They want to hear, say, man, you got your shank, I got my shank. We went to war, you heard me? We went back and forth, you heard me? You know what I mean? That's all they want. Nah, man, we're going to talk about the positivity. And I'm going to People Entertainment. And it says, Texas jail guard thanks inmates for saving his life during massive heart attack. If they wished to harm me, all they had to do was sit there and do nothing. That's a quote from Officer Grimm. A Texas jail guard nearly died from a massive heart attack years ago while on the job. But thanks to the inmates, he survived. People Magazine or People Entertainment is talking to Officer Gary years after the incident when they finally got around to interviewing him. And he tells them in the interview, he said, I just slumped over and went out, about what he remembers the day after it happened on June 23rd, 2016. Next thing I remember is looking up at the ceiling in the emergency room. The incident happened while Grimm, who has worked in the Texas jails and prisons for over 20 years, was watching inmates in a basement holding cell at the Parker County Jail in Texas. And the entire ordeal was captured on surveillance video as we just watched. Sitting across from at least 8 men who were behind a locked cage, the inmates at first thought he was kidding, according to the news outlet. You know what I mean? It ain't uncommon for correctional officers to laugh and joke with inmates. They in there doing their time on their shift, and they just trying to get through the shift like we all do who have jobs and we got shifts. We just trying to do what we can to get through it. And sometimes we do stuff we ain't supposed to, like laugh and joke at work. Well, Officer Gary and other officers ain't no different. They began to shout and bang the cells, siding as Grimm had fallen unconscious without a pulse. They were able to break free and catch the attention of others who were able to help. Instead of overtaking me and taking my boom, boom, and unaliving me or taking a hostage and escaping, they looked at me as a human being. It's amazing, y'all, how much there are convicts who look at correctional officers like human beings. There are good convicts. I'm just telling y'all, I'm putting it out there. Wow, that might blow some people's mind, but there are good convicts in prison that would do the right thing and that will do the right thing while they're incarcerated, as this video just showed. Grimm told the news outlet, adding that he's always treated the inmates the way he would want to be treated if he was in their shoes. He was obviously a good officer. That's what a good officer does. He added, I don't care if they're a drug user, hot check writer, or a child molester. They're still a human being. I don't have to like what they did, but it's not my position to be the judge and jury. He's correct. You don't want correctional officers who are partial and biased doing that job, because you don't know at any day that they're going to be partial and biased against you. They might hate gang members. They might hate people who steal or do con work because their mother might have been conned out of her deed to her house. You don't know what the case is. So you want a correctional officer who's going to be not biased, but he's going to be by the book. See, by the book is what matters. By the book. That means he follows the rules. He goes to work. He says, I have a job to do. Treat these people with dignity and respect, but I am a correctional officer. Make sure that I do my job and I do it to the fullest, right? He added, while his life was saved, the 52-year-old retired. He was obviously, after that incident, you know, the Department of Corrections, like, look, you got to take a medical retirement. And that's what he did. So he said he needed, a heart transplant. And at the time of this thing, which is years later, this was in 2018, he had a GoFundMe. And he said, he's a family man that has opened his house to numerous foster children. His friend wrote on the page, just true salt of the earth type of person. Please give if you can. I'm assuming and I'm hoping, because I look back and I couldn't find where Gary Grimm is today, but I'm hoping that he got his heart transplant. And I know heart transplants can be rough because my father went through them. And I'm hoping he got that and was able to live and still is living his best life. And when Grimm says he's never been able to thank them personally, because he was never able to thank the inmates because they were transferred to another facility, he gets emotional when he thinks about what they did for him and how different the outcome could have been. If they wished to harm me, all they had to do was sit there and do nothing, he said. That's true. Look, if you go watch the video, they got one dude sitting in the back. And I'm assuming he's shackled all the way to it looks like, I could be wrong, y'all go back and watch it. It looks like he's shackled with the full shackle. He don't just have the handcuffs, but he got the shackles that you got to scratch down that go down to the feet too. And maybe they just threw him in a cell like that. And after they threw him in, some of the dudes were cuffed, you know what I mean? But maybe this dude, they just kept with the full restraint. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be with no full restraint into another holding tank with a bunch of other inmates, and they got their legs free and they just got the wrist bound. You know what I mean? Or either that, or the dude just didn't care and he was just posted up like whatever. Not all inmates are good, but most of the dudes who were in that cell jumped out, rushed up, and saved Officer Gary Grimm's life that day. To the good inmates throughout the world. I know there's a bunch of them. And I know we talk about all the bad stuff that people do, but in this instance, man, I want you to recognize that in prison, inmates and convicts, can be good people and are good people. I was in prison and I got another chance. And I turned out to be a very solid contributing member of society who does a bunch of good things. And I ain't the only one. There's tons of inmates out here in the free world today that are good people and who are doing good stuff. who changed their lives and changed their thought process. And there's a lot of dudes who are still incarcerated. When they get out, they're going to be good people to society. So it's something to think about. Don't write off every inmate. Most of them don't have life sentences. Most of them, the vast majority of inmates will at some point or another be released into society. And yes, of course, I know there's some inmates that should never be released. But this video is focusing and giving tribute, and shout out to all the good-hearted inmates that will jump in to save the life of a correctional officer. Salute to y'all. Man, give me a like and subscribe to the Pen and the Shank. And go check out this video. I think you're going to like it. I specifically chose it for you.